almost. Now we're hello everybody. We're here.
Hello.
I should send out a tweet probably. That's usually something you're supposed to do when you start a stream. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, I did it. So how's everybody doing? I put out a video yesterday and another video today. The video yesterday was about Bodanivka, and the video today was about FPV drones. So I don't know if people watched either of them, but they exist if you're interested. The Bodanivka one I think is like 5 minutes long, and then the FPV one is like 20 minutes. The FPV video is in response to all of the things people have been talking about recently regarding the drones and how they're used. Gick, I'm curious what you think about it.
It was very like seeing the responses and so on. I can see why people potentially have a very different opinion or view, and I'm not going to say that they're definitely wrong or that you're definitely right or whatsoever. I can only talk about my own experience. In terms of the amount of FPV drones, I would say it's either equal or it might be more Russian videos. But for the Russian videos, it's either that, Ukrainian soldiers get massacred by FPV drones, and it's really not worth putting that out, and you really don't want to do that either. So it's probably going to stay, in our spreadsheet. It's probably going to stay, not shared within the crowd which holds it with Ukraine. And the other thing is, most of them are really boring and like hard to geolocate. So
yeah, there's so many that are very difficult to geolocate.
Yeah, but also like if you just take, Pseudoplatov releases, I don't know, maybe 4 videos per day, and each of those will contain probably around 10 FPV drones on average.
Yeah. Okay, so I showed Daniela a Pseudoplatov video the other day. Because Daniela is going through our database of drone video, and he's watching every single one and taking notes, basically. And I showed him a Pseudoplatov video from a few days ago, and he was like, wait, this clip is from July. and we were like, wait a second. So that was interesting.
So was it a duplicate, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it was like in the video there were like 8 videos, like 8 clips, and one of them was from July.
Okay.
And and he had only seen July at that point. He has only at that point he has only watched July videos. So he went through our database and watched every video from July. And so who knows? Like, I don't have a perfect memory of every clip Pseudoplatov has put out. He puts out like 100, like not 100. It's like 50 clips a day sometimes, like sometimes 20. So I don't have like an encyclopedic memory of his clips, and I wonder if we were to separate out every one of his videos by clip, and if we went through them, just how many clips there are. Because if 1 out of 6 or like 1 out of 8 is from July, how many are from September and how many are from August? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, we also see the same thing with Ukrainian videos.
Yeah.
I mean, just today, Operativno put out a video of a Russian tank destroyed. The video is far longer, so any of our systems to automatically check for duplicates will not find it a duplicate. But in the end, it's still the same hit on the tank. So yeah, that still happens on both sides.
Yes, there are ways to find the duplicates. They're more sophisticated. It is possible. There is like software you can just get to do it. It's more time consuming, especially when you're talking about this many clips. We're not talking about like 100 videos. We're talking like thousands. So yeah, it's just a lot to go through. But yeah, so that's one thing. So there's a number of issues regarding the FPV drones. First, there's who uses more, which I'm not really interested in personally. What I'm more interested in is how they're being used, because I see Ukraine and Russia using the drones differently. I see the Russian attacks. They primarily seem to be attacking defensive structures, like destroying houses and destroying bunkers, destroying like machine gun positions and things like that. And then second to that, they attack infantry. Whereas the Ukrainian drones, they seem to like the majority of them attack infantry, and then like the other part attack vehicles, and they don't really attack the defensive positions and things like that very often. So that's a big change in usage. It's like, I don't know, like it seems that like both Ukraine and Russia, about a quarter of their drones attack vehicles, or at least the videos. But what the other three-quarter do is different. So like with Russia, it's like half of them attack defense, and like the other 25% do infantry. And with Ukraine, it's like all 75% do infantry.
Yeah, I think with that one you're definitely right. I mean, at least I see the same thing. I saw in chat something pop up with regards to Gerasimov. Should we talk about Gerasimov? Because I think that's pretty funny, actually.
Sure. Talk about it.
So the rumor is, and some very serious news media were actually investigating on that. The rumor was that Gerasimov might have been smacked in Sevastopol, I think. The thing is, one thing that people need to be aware of is that shortly before that rumor came about, Russia targeted something in Ukraine, and they said that it was a bunker which contained Zaluzhny and some other generals. I think they didn't even claim that Zaluzhny was dead anymore, but they claimed that they hit that bunker. And more or less in response, at least that's my understanding, people were jokingly saying that the Ukrainian missile hit in Sevastopol was targeting Gerasimov. But
this rumor, I am almost certain the rumor started with the head of the Ukrainian Air Force, because he wrote I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically said, the other day the Russians, quote, killed Zaluzhny, and today, where is your Gerasimov?
Yeah, but anyway, I'm pretty sure that is really a joke, and it spiraled from there.
Yeah,
at least that's my current assumption, and I think
either that or the commander of the Air Force, he was serious. I think that's the only two possibilities. Either he's joking or he's serious. Anyways, that was all kind of amusing.
It still is. If you look at the news channels currently investigating on that, it still is hilarious, to be honest. I think someone reached out to the Kremlin and did not get a response, and so yeah.
Well, the Kremlin has to find his clone, before they make a comment.
All right, they prepare clones in advance. I forgot. So Konstantin is here. Maybe he has an opinion on Gerasimov.
Do you think he's been struck?
What's your opinion? Has he or has he not?
Well, this is a joke by Big Sack. I mean, why would you think he was struck if your source is like a dude who is an amazing guy, but he himself says that he just was shit posting?
Well, Big Sack makes the news. Sometimes he breaks stories.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find the post from the Air Force.
But I can say that Big Sack is very proud of his achievements.
Yeah, he said that if Russia calls in the press conference with Gerasimov, this means that his life goals have been achieved.
I can't find it. That's unfortunate. Was it the Air Force that started the joke, or was the Air Force responding to other people saying the joke? Because I was under the impression the Air Force started it.
I honestly thought that the Air Force was responding. I mean, they like to pick up those hype things on Twitter. They're pretty good with that. To catch a vibe and then responding to that and putting it into their statements as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny comment. Anyways, I guess we can get to news beyond that. There's Konstantin, have you seen the comments recently about this supposed Kupiansk offensive? I'm just curious.
No, I'm not aware. I have not.
Today, this was like the news of the day. It's a lot of Ukrainians are kind of freaking out about this. And again, I mean, this is like, how many times has this come up? Honestly, it's like every 2 or 3 months, Russia is about to launch a huge offensive. I mean, maybe they will at some point, but they haven't yet. So, but I mean, the claim today.
I have to say that the offensives right now, Ukraine, like, of course, we have problems with the ammo at this moment, but to be honest, it's the best for us if they do launch offensives. I mean, it sounds strange, right? But the reality is that if you like, we need Russians to keep coming and keep dying, because we cannot assault ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Because we have no resources. So the best thing that we can do is defend, and we're gonna win this war only when some critical mass of killed in action Russian soldiers are gonna be there. And the best way to do it is actually do it defending, not assaulting.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying this the whole time. I agree. I was completely against the summer offensive.
But of course, the question here is that if we have the resources to fight back, because unfortunately, since we lost the aid from the United States, things have not been great in terms of ammo. I continuously hear problems with ammo, both on the smaller and higher level. Like when we speak about 155 is a problem, mortars was always the problem, 105 is the problem, and even VOGs, like those, for the automatic grenade launchers, ammunition is a big problem as well. So I'm not, I am concerned, but I hope we do have the stacks. We're just rationing them to make sure that we last long enough. until the supply stabilizes a bit.
Yeah, I'm not worried about ammo long term. It's just the short term that's the issue. Like the next 5 months, I think, are the issue.
But also like Russians, they have their own problems right now. While we did not really succeed in the counteroffensive, their Russian forces are not in the best shape right now. Even though they're on the paper, they look pretty good. We've seen the losses that they suffered in Avdiivka offensives, and in other places are around Bakhmut as well. They've been trying to counterattack there, and it was going really bad for them. And I mean, south of Bakhmut, north it was a bit more successful, but still they took quite some losses there. And I don't think that, and they have recruitment problems. So I think it kind of adds up to low quality of the force. So it's like for them, each offensive is gonna become more and more, complicated in terms of human resources until the point where they do mobilization, which is a big topic there because this year is the election year in Russia. Even though the dictator there is going to win no matter what, he's still, as many dictators, he does want to have good ratings, and he does want to see population in love with him. And the mobilization decision in this year is going to be very painful for him, painfully personally, not as much as painfully to like it's going to stop him from being a president, because obviously he can just write any election results that he wants, but he also has his own like ambitious and his own vision of himself, and this vision is like the guy who is supported by everyone. He is the Führer. He's the leader of the nation, and he certainly doesn't want his ratings to dwindle, even if it doesn't matter, even if he doesn't lose the power. So it's like it can be. This is like actually would be a great year for us to do another counteroffensive, if we had the resources, if we had the weapons from the West, and if we perform mobilization ourselves. But once again, we have around the same issue that our leader has about the same problems. He's very concerned about his ratings, which are right now, I would say, close to catastrophe compared to what he had. And he's very concerned about losing them. So he's afraid to call the mobilization. But I think we'll have no choice. It's going to happen around a bit later.
Yep.
In terms of mobilization, I was interested in looking up the names of the latest prisoner exchange, and the Russians, they actually put out a list including birth dates and full names. And I was curious. I was seeing a bunch of people who were around the age of 60 getting exchanged here. Now, typically you would assume that if you get captured, you were most likely somewhere at the frontal position, right? So would you say, or do you hear anything maybe from the units you talk to about the average age and so on of the Russians they capture?
I would lie if I said that I have. Sorry, I don't have that information.
One thing to keep in mind is that there is going to be a second prisoner exchange, and I assume that this first one was maybe lower value prisoners, and maybe the second prisoner exchange might be higher value prisoners, because I think they're negotiating like the terms more on this second one. I think the first one may have been more of a goodwill gesture, because I don't think they had a prisoner exchange in a while. And then I think the second one is going to be the big one. Which I don't know when the second one's going to be, but I keep reading that it'll be like in a week or two or something like that.
Yeah, so we have people right now trying to launch a PR campaign because prisoner exchange is considered to be a good PR. And a lot of people try to, that's why you see Budanov there on the exchange. That's why you see, all our politicians trying to come there and make pictures with them so that they can have their political capital grow. And when you see people talk about it a lot, which means that there is no official confirmation or anything, but obviously there is some information, some rumors going around, and people want to capitalize on them. But who knows? I mean, it's probably true that there is some exchange soon that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I am sure there are tons of people to exchange because I think they went like 3 months or something like that without an exchange. I'm trying to think back. I think they said there are 2,000 people that they could exchange. If I remember right. Anyways, today there's been a lot of freak out in a lot of the Ukrainian channels and stuff that I read about an offensive coming in this kind of northern area near Kupiansk, and the general consensus is that Liman would be the primary target of the offensive, and Kupiansk would be like a secondary target. Of course, we've heard this so many times, like every few months, this comes out. This time, this rumor comes with a date. Are you excited about that? They say that the offensive will start January 10th. So, you could put that on your calendar. Uh, anyways, I guess we'll see if it happens. I'm skeptical, but this is a big thing that I saw a lot of people freaking out about this today. Um, there people talking about how they don't have the ammo to defend against this sort of attack, and all those sorts of things. The negative Nancy's out there. So yeah, I just don't really know what else to add other than I guess it's worth bringing up. This was a really hot topic today. Like every single Ukrainian channel I follow was talking about it like all day today. Up until maybe like 2 hours ago, and I guess they got bored. So this is maybe something, maybe something. I don't know. I think Russia launched a huge Telegram offensive like 2 months ago, and then like maybe 5 months ago, and then like maybe like 8 months ago. It's like every few months they launch a huge offensive on Kupiansk, apparently. So, of course, there has been consistent fighting around here. Russia has consistently been gaining ground near Kupiansk. Nothing spectacular. I mean, if you compare the line today to the line a year ago, it's like maybe like a kilometer difference. Um, I I I read a few articles today about how some of the fighters near Liman Pershi or whatever, they're worried that they can't hold on to Sinkivka much longer. I don't know if that's true or not, but they were mostly complaining about lack of ammo. Um, and again, we don't really know the ammo situation. It could be that Ukraine is holding ammo in reserve, and maybe they just don't deem this area as requiring the reserve at the moment, and maybe if something were to happen, they would send more ammo. It's possible. I don't know. The other thing is maybe they just don't have the ammo. Like I have no idea. I choose to believe they're rationing the ammo. I think that would be logical, but who knows? So yeah, beyond that, I don't know of many significant changes in this Kupiansk area recently. There's been some destroyed vehicles. There's this little guy that we don't even know what this is. It kind of looks like I don't know. What do you think that is? I don't even know. I kind of think it's an M113, but not really. Maybe maybe
Like, mm,
a Bradley, but it can't be a Bradley. There's no Bradleys here.
where is it?
Um, it's it's up near Kupiansk, near I'll show you. Oh boy. uh, it's right here. Yeah. So there can't be a Bradley. I don't know. It has like one door in the back. Maybe it's like a I don't know. It's something. I'm pretty sure it's Ukrainian too. Uh, anyway, it doesn't really matter. Some vehicle. Anyway, Gick, do you have anything to add about this area?
No, not really. Basically, we see the same videos all over. Russians are inching, forward, and you see them die. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. Yeah. At the same time, one technical detail, just because I was observing and chatting on, apparently the guests are rather quiet. So I'm not sure if that only applies.
I think it's Constantine. I think Constantine needs to get closer to his microphone.
I'm silent.
See, the thing about Constantine is that he has like two modes. One mode is what you hear now. The other mode is like 100% loud. So those are the two types of Constantine you get.
And I also agree with Sianas in chat, by the way. I think it's a YPR.
Could be. I don't know. It just seems so skinny. It seems so skinny to me. I don't know. It kind of looks like a BMP. It has like that door, that the like the driver's hatch of the BMP. But I honestly don't know, and I don't know how to close a window without exiting out of full screen mode. Okay, so that's kind of that. I don't really have anything to add other than there's this impending sense of dread and doom. Yesterday there was this video of various Russian assaulting uh, in this kind of area that's kind of north of Torska and east of Terny and west of Kremena. Okay, so this little area here, this whole video showing Ukrainian shelling, some of this DPICM shelling, other similar cluster shelling that I couldn't geolocate. Um, there were they said that there were 5 destroyed vehicles, but they only showed 4 of them. I think they may have accidentally edited one of them out, or they just misnumbered it. Um, so yeah, this whole thing, Russia is slowly inching west, is kind of the point. They appear to have completely taken control of this area, which we knew and mapped, but this video really shows the extent of what routes they're taking to travel around this area. Um, it appears that they're sticking to the kind of straight line paths. I think they're probably afraid of minefields, etc. And yeah, this is the furthest that they got. In this was an assault where they kind of drove up, dismounted some infantry. The infantry over here, those little red dots are infantry, and they kind of ran down there. And this vehicle then got struck by something, I don't know what, and exploded. I think the infantry were down there. I don't know if they captured that. I don't know if this area is now Russian controlled and maybe the gray area is more east, more west. I mean, I'm not really sure. But that was that video. What did you think of the video?
Honestly, not much. I mean, I think I geolocated parts of it, but like I didn't really put much interest into it, other than considering the leopard video, which is also out there. I think the day earlier, maybe.
You
Yeah,
mean
that it was there. It was there. I think January 2nd. I was wondering,
this
no,
leopard?
actually, no, that's not the one I meant. The ones in the rear of Journey.
Oh, that leopard. Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
leopard. Yeah.
That in combination with the advanced there made me really think, what are those two doing there?
The great question. Why were they here?
Yeah, exactly. And I was wondering, normally that you would consider that the rear, and then that's probably the worst spot to park.
I
So
can't imagine a worse place to park. It's Constantine. Would you hide on top of a river?
So first of all, can you hear me better or not? Or
Sure.
is it the
Yeah,
same?
it's the same.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It's not really hiding on the top of the river.
No, it's not. You're just like, but these vehicles were parked. They weren't like you know what I mean. They were parked. Like there weren't people there. They're just sitting on top of a river. Like you'd think that you'd at least like put them over here in the trees or something. But there's like there, just like on top of a river.
Oh, that spot would have been equally bad because I think that's a swamp. So putting the leopards there would probably be worse. But yeah, there's a forest close. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is that I really wonder where the front line really is, because maybe that's not that much in the rear as we expect it to be. Maybe they actually got knocked out there, been trying to maybe counterattack or something like that. Or could it be the ones which were abandoned a few days earlier and they pulled them there? And then again, why would you pull them there?
I don't know. This is one of those areas that I would love to buy satellite imagery, but they won't sell it to me. They're like, no, we're not going to give you any. So frustrating. I would love to see where vehicles are being lost right now and what vehicles are missing. Because I have a feeling, I have a very strong feeling that Russia has lost an absolutely ridiculous amount of vehicles right here. I would not be surprised if they've lost like 40 or 50 vehicles.
At the same time, I really wonder if they are a lot closer to Journey. I mean, we don't have any footage proving any of that, but those leopards there, they make no sense unless Russia would be closer to Journey, in my opinion.
I have no idea how to interpret those leopards. It makes no sense. The park on a river, like maybe if there were toads there. I don't think they were toad though. They didn't look toad. I mean, we can watch this video. This is
we can watch that video and we can watch the other video of the ones abandoned. Maybe we can see details, even though it's gonna be hard. Maybe if it's the same ones, it would explain partially, but you still wouldn't pull them.
There's no way that they could tow them though, because Russia pushed up to those tanks, moved their infantry.
Are you showing the video?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. I'm not streaming like that right now. Here.
And they even claimed that it's 3 leopards there.
Well, I think they claimed it was 4, but it was just the same 2 twice each.
I mean, the turret is over the rear of the car of the hull. So that's definitely not a combat position.
No. Well, unless you're Russian.
Well, that one is actually, yeah, that one has the turret turned correctly. I don't know. Maybe they needed to pee and just jumped out quickly, and that's when the FPV drones hit.
Lancets. They're Lancets.
It doesn't make sense.
And
it hurts.
I really don't think these Lancets did any damage. It's very unlikely.
Yeah, we've seen. I'm not sure if it was that one, but one of those videos actually made me realize how many drones and Lancets those tanks actually tank. Without the Russian syndrome.
Yeah, because remember the other leopards that were abandoned up near like Kuzymivka?
The ones which spawned 20 FPV drone videos then?
Yeah, because we heard from the people who recovered those tanks, and those tanks took like literally no damage. Like, one of them had to have its its external stowage box, like the bustle, like that had to be replaced. But that doesn't even count as damage. It's just the storage box. It was yeah, the tanks took literally no damage. They just towed them back and jumped back in, and they're back in the fight. And if you remember, one of those was literally on fire. One of them like had fire coming out of it, and it was fine. Yeah, just if I can find the video of these kind of abandoned tankies. I don't really think they're the same tanks. This is a
Bergepanzer, yeah.
I don't think it. Yeah, whatever. I don't know what that is.
It hurts. It hurts so much seeing that.
I don't know what that is.
I really think, having sent something like, I don't know, 30, 40 leopards, it was made sure that Russia would have a huge propaganda win, because any leopard they lose, is a huge percentage of what they received in total. So, yeah. Just send more, maybe.
There aren't that many more. It's the problem.
Yeah, send the army with it.
Okay, so people are asking me what these icons mean. This airplane is an airstrike. Okay. These explosion-y things are destroyed vehicles and or maybe just explosions. This here, this used to be the drone icon, but now it's the Lancet icon, because we now have a new drone icon that looks like this. We now have this icon that looks like a drone. So yeah, this icon is the cluster ammunition icon. What else do we got? The circles are shelling. This is our Shahed icon. And yeah, I don't see any other icons. I think that covers all the ones that are currently in use on this map. These rockets are rockets. Every type of rocket. I'm trying to get an icon for MRL, and we have an icon for cruise missiles, which is cool. In fact, yeah, whatever. We have an icon for cruise missiles. I want to get one for MRLs, and I want to get one for air defense, but we don't have those yet. And yeah, so those are the basic icons.
Yeah, you're saying it's cool, but I now have to scroll through through the icons to find the one I'm searching for.
Uh,
It was easier a couple of days back.
I only added a few, like 7. Yeah. Anyways, what's the next area to talk about? Uh, there's really no news here ish. Okay, so this it's kind of north of Bakhmut area. So there's this video that I didn't see yesterday, but I saw this morning and geolocated it for yesterday because it came out yesterday, which is Russia shelling all of these Ukrainian trench lines here, which is kind of interesting to know that they have trench lines here. I don't know what the shelling in the middle of the field was, but they sure did shell the middle of that field. Let me tell you something. They fired like 50 shells there.
I only see one dot.
I didn't draw the dots. But they just kept shooting it. It was like a minute straight of shooting the middle of this field. And it took a really long time to figure out where this was because it's in it's the night vision camera like thermals, and you can't tell what is going on. You just see giant flashes.
You know, they were digging. It's the bunker with Solution they were aiming for here.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of that. People are unhappy here. I think that's what I could say is that this morning, really the two places that the Ukrainians in general were talking about was that everybody was talking about this Kupiansk area, and then like half of everybody else was talking about here. There were a bunch of reports that came from here from soldiers who claim to be fighting there. I don't actually know if they are, to be honest, but they claim to be, and they're just unhappy. The general consensus that I've seen is that they've been able to hold the line up until now, but they're not sure if they'll be able to hold it much longer. There's been unconfirmed reports that Russia retook all of the low ground here and they're climbing up this hill. So that would imply it kind of means that the Ukrainian line at the top of the hill hasn't changed, but there's this claim that Russia has basically taken all this low ground and they're climbing up the hill now. I don't know who controls this tree line and this tree line, but we do have Russia shelling at both of them, which is interesting. This cemetery is probably a gray zone, although we also have video of Russia attacking it with drones, etc. We have this video of Russia kind of I think it's kind of a rotation under fire. That's how I would describe it. But this BMD rolled up and all the infantry very painfully crawled out the back. It's so awkward watching people crawl out of these things because these weren't the type of infantry that sits on the top. They were inside, and then they have to like get on their belly and crawl out the little door. It's really funny. So poorly designed. You know, you'd think that they would come up with one big door in the back technology, but Russia just doesn't do things like that. At least they don't have to crawl out the side in a little triangle. Anyways, they did that under fire. So I just don't know what to say. Ukraine has had several successful counterattacks here. We don't know the full extent of their success. I kind of think that how it's mapped as conservative. I think Ukraine probably pushed up further, and Russia may have pushed up further. Like basically, this gray area might be a lot smaller than it's mapped. Um, that's kind of that area. I don't know if you have anything to add. Klashivka and Andriivka, I think, is more or less the same. There's the constant Russian assaults that don't seem to accomplish much. I don't know, Konstantin, have you heard anything from that area?
Sorry, I was distracted. Which area are you looking at?
Klashivka and then Andriivka.
Yeah, I just heard it today. Russian keeps trying to enter Klishivka near the railroad there, but I have bad pictures on there that we cannot show here.
Okay.
Didn't work out for them.
Yeah, it didn't work out for them. Okay.
Yeah, they ate some cluster munitions and still stayed there forever.
It's their home now. So yeah, that's kind of that. This kind of Touretsk area and Pivnichna. Anyway, this whole area is getting really heavily shelled and hit by airstrikes. It seems that Russia has been steadily increasing the amount of shelling and airstrikes in kind of basically this whole area here, stemming from New York all the way up to all of these towns, basically. I don't really know what that means. Maybe they're just doing it for fun. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to prepare the cities for future assaults. I have no idea, but they are hitting this whole area with more airstrikes and more artillery than they were in the recent past. Yes, Ukraine uses a CV-90, and they lose them every once in a while. Moving on south. This morning, this morning I geolocated some damaged Bradleys. There's one basically north of Stepova right here. It was fighting right at this tree line intersection right here, and it got hit by a drone. I think the Bradley may be abandoned, which was upsetting to see. But then there was a second Bradley that got hit by a drone, but I think that Bradley's probably fine. So that was mildly upsetting to see this Bradley probably abandoned. But other than that, there's a little SUV got destroyed, and some drone attacks on the Ukrainian position right there. So this whole area north of Stepova, it is currently in flux. It's not. I wouldn't call it stabilized. It's more or less stabilized. It's not as unstable as it used to be, but Russia is advancing pretty steadily. I know some people are worried because Russia was not able to advance west, which is good. They couldn't advance west, so they couldn't get to Berdichi or whatever. They couldn't move into any of these towns, which was really one of their really big goals. They really wanted to go west, but they were stopped. But now they're moving kind of north, which is just as worrying, but in a different way. Because moving north can accomplish all the things that moving west could accomplish, in that they want to cut off the roads to Avdiivka. But moving north is just a little bit slower in accomplishing that goal that they have. But it's in the long run just as worrying. So this is kind of the thing that's going on at the moment. They're trying to move up this railway. Trying to move through here, which I don't even know what this is. Probably like a cemetery. I think I'm just going to assume, if I don't know what something is, it's a cemetery, because it usually how it ends up being. So anyway, they're trying to move through. They're trying to move up into these kind of larger towns, and then from here maybe move south and cut off the roads. But their ultimate goal is to cut off the roads. Just they can't go west because it's been a dead end. Now, if Ukraine can stop this attack north, that would be fantastic, but they have not been able to. They've only been able to slow it down.
Yeah. And I think one of the issues here really is that even if you stabilize that front, it's very fragile, which means you need to keep a lot of resource and units in that area to keep it stabilized. So this is basically a point where, Ukraine will be tied up.
Yeah, they basically, Ukraine's two options are lose Avdiivka or counterattack. The way things are now is not stable. Ukraine really needs to retake Krasnohorivka. I don't know if they can. I don't think they can, to be honest. I really don't think they have the forces to, but that's what they would need to do if they want to hold Avdiivka. Either that, or you need to retake Vodiana and Opitna and Pisky. Those are kind of your two choices. And moving south is much harder than moving north. I think ultimately they're going to withdraw from Avdiivka. But not today.
No, not today. And I also think that, in that assumption, we kind of consider that the Russians really have no limits in terms of manpower and so on. But they're also being attrited here. So, that's an assumption. It could also be that the Russians can't go on for that much longer and are actually, vulnerable to some sort of counterattack.
One thing to keep in mind, and I will move to the map and show this in 3D, because this is actually interesting, and people might not know it. But, oh, okay, it worked.
The floor.
Krasnohorivka is in a lowland. Like, it's surrounded by high ground. So if Ukraine can push back to where they were, because if we remember all the way back to the before times, back to like September, the Ukrainian line was like this tree line ish, and this tree line was important because it was kind of the high ground that was looking down on this town. So if Ukraine can push them back to that, at least to this tree line, it would be good. it would be good. But really, you really have to take Krasnohorivka. They have to. Maybe not necessarily taking the town itself, but you have to take all the surrounding high ground. And just make the town untenable and make Russia withdraw. I don't know if I really do not think Ukraine has the forces to do that, but I think it's, if you want to hold Avdiivka, it's your only choice. One thing that I also have almost forgot to say is that Russia is launching a really big attack out of Kamyanka. They're attacking kind of this way, southwest out of Kamyanka, and this has been a pretty large attack for the past day or two. I don't think we've seen any videos of this attack. Maybe we will soon, but this is a thing that's been going on. So they're not only attacking the north, but they're also attacking here, towards right here. I think this is what they're attacking. So the attacks south, from Vodiana and Opitna, and even over the southern part of Avdiivka, I don't think any of them have gone anywhere. Pervomaiska, they've taken some ground, but not terribly much. Yeah, they took this, but it's not super important. This town is more or less demolished at this point, so there isn't that much to hold. It's not terribly important. Obviously, it's not good to lose ground, but the kind of more westernly part of the town is more important than the eastern part. Ukraine kind of recaptured this eastern part over the course of several months, and they've been using it as this like really valuable buffer zone because they're making Russia recapture this ground for like the fifth time, uh, which I imagine is causing a lot of attrition to the Russian forces. And this is one of those places where Russia's been using a lot of FPV drones to destroy the Ukrainian defensive positions. Really, really heavy use of FPV drones. There have been a bunch of videos where they just hit this same spot with like 40 drones in a row, which is like boom, 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 boom with FPV drones, hitting bunkers and ruined basements and things like that.
So before you leave the Avdiivka area, I think one thing to highlight is also over the course of the last couple of days, we have seen Ukraine releasing a load of videos with hits on Russian artillery. I think the one north of or around Makivka, yeah, exactly that one. That's 2S4, which was released, I think, yesterday. Well, we can show the video, but if you also go back through the days in the Donetsk area, you see a bunch of other air defense and artillery units destroyed. Okay, that one. Oh yeah, that one was actually two. You only showed the truck, but if you zoom in on the other one which you had before, that was the 2S4.
Oh yeah. I remember. They're really close together.
So,
Wait,
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a dump truck probably carrying the ammo for the 2S4. They might have been planning to reload it. Anyway, so that one was destroyed, and then I think on January 1st for the Happy New Year they released exactly that one.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah, there's the Mistaz, the BM-27, some Grads. Oh, there's so many. Another Mista, another Grad. Yeah, and then also this one too. The Ukrainian strike on the their holiday party, which is always a good time. They're making.
Did we learn who was killed there? Because the Russians were furious about that strike. It seemed to have killed some high value person.
If it was ever announced, I missed it because I have no idea.
Maybe someone in the chat knows, because I also missed it if they ever announced it.
They're very upset about that. They're very, very upset. What was that? I can't remember. Oh yeah, another book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was spectacular.
Yeah, they've been there's been a whole bunch going on there. Lots of artillery.
And it's probably all in the course since October. Probably the footage is not, it's one video, but it might not have been, that close together. But it's significant, Russia is losing very valuable pieces in that area.
Yeah, for sure. I guess. Yeah, I'll show this. The vehicle losses south of Mariinka or just amuse me because I just want to look at it again. Where are my losses? Russian losses. Here we go. So this is just funny to me. How many vehicles have they lost? This is another area I want to buy satellite imagery from, but they won't give it to me because there isn't any. Because I really want to see if how many vehicles we're missing, because I am absolutely positive we're missing a lot of vehicles. Like I absolutely know. I bet we're missing 100 or more, to be honest.
Oh, we should definitely look at the Kamikaze MTLB east of Novomikhailivka. We can actually show that as a video as well.
Which dot was it?
That one, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, after yesterday, the channel put out basically different means of how they did.
I clicked the wrong button.
They left it open for interpretation, basically what each mean is. So that one might be an airstrike. It might as well be an UR-77 line charge, which they used here. Then the next one is a most certainly shelling or airstrike. And now they will show the MTLB. At least I assume it's an MTLB because there are tracks visible.
It's definitely a vehicle. I think we've all basically agreed it's an MTLB, although it's really hard to tell. It is weird shaped. I think it might be an MTLBU, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but anyway, so it was amusing to me yesterday watching that, because obviously, or at least I would assume that it didn't reach the point they wanted to reach.
No, absolutely
because it got stuck in that ditch. And today, Russian Telegram picked it up, and every Telegram channel is, boasting about the word is boasting, right? I think it's boasting.
Yeah.
Boasting about that video, how that MTLB destroyed a Ukrainian fortified position.
Yeah.
How? Do you see that? Like, where is that position? Is it underground?
Yeah. This is the position.
Where is that position?
It fell in the hole to ground. Yeah, and this is not the first MTLB from this area. We have
one like 100 meters further south, next to that power station there.
Yeah, I will open that one up. Okay. This one's interesting because we get the full view of the whole mission of theirs. I actually don't remember what this video shows, so I'm just gonna scrub through it real quick. Because this was kind of an FPV drone, and the beginning of this video is really funny because they immediately crash it into a stick and it dislodges the camera for the rest of the time. You can't see anything. It's fantastic. But yeah, they stuck an FPV drone literally to an MTLB. That's why I called it on the map an FPV MTLB.
I mean, how many MTLBs do they have?
Too many, apparently. They have too many. They need to get rid of some.
MTLB is a very, very common and one of the most produced armored vehicles there is, so they have a lot. And it's really cheap to produce as well.
Yeah, there you see the power station outside of Novomikhailivka.
Very valuable target. Knocking out the substation to a town that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it doesn't even reach that substation, I'm pretty sure. I think it takes a right turn now, and then, yeah, exactly. And then just bye-bye. I mean, okay, I guess.
Yep. There's that.
I really don't know what to think of that.
They just have too many MTLBs. What can you say?
But can it be, like what's the return on that investment? Typically, they put line charges inside of that MTLB. Like, what area will it demine even if it explodes on a mine?
I don't know.
Or is it really, or is the plan really to reach a Ukrainian position, then cause damage to personnel? I
don't know.
I'm speculating. So
they've done this with tanks too. So I think out of all of the vehicles we've seen videos of this from, which has been a bunch, we've seen like 8 or 9. I think only one of them was even mildly successful, because it got within probably 200 meters of the target. Like it got close enough that the explosion may have wounded the guys, like it may have gave them concussions, etc. But the rest, they've all just made craters in the ground. They're just digging holes.
But 1 second. We did see that MTLB go through some wooden area, so I would assume it's probably that forest line to the right there. But we also saw it passing some flooded area, maybe a small lake or something. I'm just wondering what distance did it travel, and how far can you shoot those UR-77 line charges?
Oh no. I assume that it launched like back here or maybe here. It blew up over here. So I don't know. But
so it's like a kilometer or something. So that's definitely further than you can probably shoot those line charges.
But these are all the vehicles we've been able to map. I am sure I fully expect there's about 100 we're missing. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I actually think there's probably 100 we're missing here. There's a whole bunch back here that we're missing for sure, and probably a whole bunch over here that we're missing. And I bet this whole like tree line is full, or road. I bet this whole road is full of destroyed vehicles, and this one too. There's so many that we're missing. I just know. I want to buy satellite imagery. I want it. The next sunny day, I want to buy it. I swear to God. It's just that it's never sunny. It's just permanently cloudy. Yeah, this whole kind of area it's more or less stabilized. It's impressive that Ukraine's been able to accomplish this, to be honest. It's in large part due to crossing these giant flat open nothingness. These fields is just too dangerous for Russia. They've not been able to successfully get forces across. Whenever they try, they just take massive casualties. And even these relatively smaller fields where they probably have a lot more cover over here than certainly over there. Even here they can't cross. So and they definitely can't go north, because this northern section is really ridiculously fortified. Attacking south was the easy way, and they got about this close, and they haven't been able to do much more. I don't know how long this can hold, but it's actually makes me feel good that it's stabilized. It makes me worry about one less thing. And thank you, Kathy. So yeah, that's kind of that. Do you want to talk about this Rabatina area, or anywhere else over here? Because I don't really have anything to say about the entire Zaporizhia line.
Honestly, I don't think there's that much to say. At least not much news that came out.
Yeah, it's just
there were 2 Nona S destroyed today, with 1 GMLRS, which was cool. And a loaf was parking right next to it, so that loaf might also be.
Yeah, it was their ammo loaf. Yep. So one thing we can say is that this Nikopol area is getting really heavily shelled every single day. Um, and also
Your
a lot of shaheds
your
fly through there.
your map is still showing Novomikhailivka in case you're.
Sorry. Um, yeah, so Nikopol area is getting really heavily shelled. And a lot of civilian casualties recently. We kind of went a long time without civilian casualties in this general area, but recently there have been a bunch. And thank you, FU Russia. uh, anyway, so I um I took the plunge this morning. I spent about an hour watching that Madyar video, and I managed to make sense of it because each one of his videos is kind of a philosophical discovery. You have to warp your mind into like a space where time isn't linear, and time itself is more of a suggestion and less of a physical entity, or you know what I mean. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I'm worried you're talking about drugs right now.
But that's how I feel when I turn on his videos. I have to like prepare myself. I have to like meditate a little. I have to just like I have to accept that I'm leaving this realm and I'm going into like a different plane of existence to analyze his videos because that's about how logical they are. And I managed to make sense of this one a little bit. This was actually kind of incredible. So I'm just going to describe his video to you in linear time. And if you want to watch it in a non-linear fashion, then you could go look at his video. So linearly, what I would say is that there was a tank that was kind of rolling up this road, and it got hit by an FPV drone, right? And it was damaged. Its engine was damaged by the drone, and the crew abandoned it. Then, shortly thereafter, a a crew who were likely engineers of some sort. They drove an SUV up to the tank, and they were working on the tank in the road when a Ukrainian drone decided to fly over, and it dropped a present. Now, this present, I don't know if you know what this present was, because I have no idea what it was. Because it wasn't the typical present, right? It wasn't like a bomb. It's more like a time bomb, right?
Yeah, I think it was one of those mines which they like to drop.
But okay, so what they did is I don't think it was a mine. It may, I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know what it was, but I don't think it was a mine. But they dropped it, and it was like a big cylindrical tube, and it landed right next to the tank. And then the drone said, "Okay, bye," and flew away. And it flew away a very long distance, like multiple kilometers away, and then turned around and filmed it. And the tank just completely explodes. It just vaporized into nothingness. Okay? So the tank vaporized. The SUV flew like hundreds of yards into a tree and landed over here. So that's what happened. Then, um, the next day or some other point in time, two BTRs drove up, and the first one drove over the completely detonated tank, which is fun. And it kind of parked here, and it got hit by a drone, an FPV drone, and it took out the engine. The second BTR was right behind it, on the other side of the destroyed tank, and just started like randomly shooting its gun. I don't even know what it was shooting at because there's like no Ukrainians here. It was just like randomly shooting to make it feel better or something, while reversing away. and while it was reversing away, got hit by a drone, and it was abandoned over here. Then they came in with their nighttime drone, and they dropped some munitions on the BTR, and it caught fire and burned down and was completely destroyed. This other one was repeatedly hit by FPV drones, but I'm not sure it was ever destroyed. So that was Madhyar's video in a nutshell. The spectacular nature of that tank's destruction, the bizarre manner in which it was destroyed. It was like a time bomb attached to a cylindrical tube. I have no clue what it was, but it sure did blow up the tank.
Do you remember that mine, which is dropped in some sort of cylindrical, sack outside of Koryamivka? Do you remember that one with the curious Russian infantry, infantry soldier?
Yeah, he was very curious.
Yeah, I feel like it was something like that, but the explosion seemed a bit too large for that one.
So like they flew the drone away as quickly as possible, and that tells you how big of a bomb it was. When they're like, okay, bye. It's usually usually you like drop the bomb and you just like watch it fall, right? And then it hits the ground and explodes. This time, nope. They're like, just drop it and run away as fast as possible. for kilometers. Like they flew back across the river. That's how far they flew. They're just like, hey, bye.
But it could also be that the drone dropping that was just that valuable. Obviously, if it dropped something that big, it might have been one of those Baba Yaga drones or something like that, which are really valuable.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a valuable drone. It's just funny. And the thing is that like it flew over, dropped the bomb, flew back, watched it explode, and then flew back to see the explosion. Because it went back and it like took this picture of the flaming tank. Anyway, thank you, Mina. I really appreciate it, Mina. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's my description of the Madger video. It took me an hour of watching that video to piece it all together. I was I don't know. Maybe you piece it together faster than I do. I just can't understand his non-linear time.
I can tell you that I don't do it alone. So in Defmon's Discord, Blazeton always puts the subtitles, which help tremendously with his videos, because often they show something, and if you can't understand the language, you won't get it. And then there's so many people, every time there's a new Magia video, people pile on that, and it really helps to have everyone express their opinions on what they see, and then understanding actually what's going on, because Magia, also his editing, it's, I don't know what he's editing those videos for, but it's certainly not for geolocators or
people who appreciate the linear flow of time.
It's horrible, but at the same time he's doing a pretty good job at disposing Russian armor.
Yeah. And then they lost another BTR over here. So Russia is continuing to lose just tons and tons of vehicles in this cranky area. It is spectacular. I do want to note, just for the record, because I don't know if everybody knows this. I didn't know this, honestly. But this vehicle, this BTR, was not destroyed by Madyar's people. They were destroyed by an adjacent drone unit. Just keep that in mind. There are multiple drone units here. So Madyar's getting a lot of credit. He posts a lot of footage, but he is not the only show it down. There are other drone units that I don't see them posting anything, but they could be destroying just as many vehicles over here, because we know Madyar kind of works over here, but they could be destroying just as much over here that we just don't see because they don't post it.
Yeah, I mean 36 and 501 and so on. All of them are in that area. So in terms of drones, flying skulls, I think as well, right? All those flying skulls videos. Yeah, so there is a lot. M2, I'm just trying to remember who.
It's the 38th.
Yeah, basically all of the Marines and yeah, and 126, like that heart-shaped symbol. I remember that one destroying vehicles. I think in Oleshki a lot. So
yeah, there's a lot of drones in Oleshki.
Yeah.
The way, I don't know. I would have to go back and check, but I think what he was saying was that this was another like dedicated drone unit. Like it wasn't a drone unit attached to a brigade. That's how I understood it. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. What was your question, Cheryl? I didn't see it. Did you see any questions that I missed, Gick?
No, I'm currently trying to see.
A drone unit is it's people who operate drones just like exclusively. It's like that's your job. It's like saying like an artillery unit. It's just
a lot of those drone units, they were or are volunteer units. Once the war broke out, some of them just decided to, do something practicable, and got drones and started with Recon. If you follow the Terra YouTube channel, it's actually a pretty interesting transition to see how they started as a volunteer unit, with just aiding with Recon. And I think now they're also doing drone drops, so they have their own drones which drop grenades on Russian soldiers and equipment. So that's how they develop basically, and they get more and more important over time, particularly if you have a river in between you and your logistics.
So we have a question about Gerasimov. If he is swimming with the fishes, does it matter? The answer is probably not. I mean, there is a joke that Gerasimov is the best general in the Ukrainian army. So,
yeah, I think I've seen like two very different opinions on Gerasimov. A lot of them, think that he's very capable and is part of the reason that Russia has been holding rather successfully, together with Surovikin. And the other opinion is more or less that Gerasimov is the one who's constantly pushing Russia to move forward and lose their equipment and manpower en masse. I'm not sure where I am in between those, but any Russian taking decisions in this war, if he's dead, he kind of deserved it, and it's for the better in that regard, in my opinion. I'm not sure if I can say that on YouTube, but I just did. So
so the question is, should Ukraine be using the drones to attack bunkers, etc.? I don't think so. Russia is doing that because that's what Russia has to do. Russia is trying to capture ground. So if to capture ground, you have to destroy the defensive positions, so then you can capture it. So Ukraine is not trying to capture ground. They're trying to hold ground. So what they have to do is destroy the people who are attacking them. So I think both sides are acting rationally. I don't think either side, I think they're both doing what they're supposed to do. It's just that their goals are different.
Yeah. At the same time, if you look at the footage at Pritulia is his name, I think. It's like a Pritulia or something like that. He put out footage today from attacking Robotyne, and their main trench, and it's just a ton of Ukrainian FPV drones and other drones attacking that trench line, which is pretty much exactly what the Russians are doing. But in that instance, it was the fact that Ukraine was attacking. So it always depends on the use case which you have at hand right now. And the use case right now is typically that the Russians are moving forward, they're bringing their equipment, and their equipment is a danger to your defending position and soldiers. So it's obvious what your target or priority should be.
We have another question. Is the drone database open to view? And the answer is no. At least not ours. I mean, there's the the Lost Armor database that you could use. I don't know. Have you used the Lost Armor database? It's not really a database. It's more of a website. I haven't really used it personally.
Oh, were you asking me, or were you
Yes,
asking?
I was asking you.
Oh no, I didn't use that. The thing is that doing this takes up so much time that I barely find the time to look at what others do, to be honest. And a lot of them do absolutely fabulous work, and they should be checked out a lot more. But it's just that there's so little time.
Yeah, I feel the same way. We just kind of do what we do, and other people do things, and that's just the way it is. So, Lost Armor is Russian, I think. It's kind of up in the air whether he's actually Russian or not.
I mean, it's obvious on what side he's on.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's obvious that he is pro-Russian, but I don't actually think he's Russian. I'm not sure, because if you look under the hood of what he does, everything's in English, and then he translates it to Russian. I'm not sure he's actually Russian, because is maybe he just prefers English. I don't know, man. But all of his stuff is in English under the hood with a facade of Russian on top, which is interesting. He has a database of FPV videos. You can go look at it if you want to. I don't even know if I recommend doing it, but if you want to, you can go look at it.
It's just accessing some sort of database, particularly if it's pro-Russian. Just always maybe prefer using a VPN or something like that, because accessing a database might as well leave your IP address and so on at someone's hands.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to suggest that.
Yeah, I'm not recommending looking at it. I'm just saying it exists if you're curious. And it is entirely in Russian, at least the outside is. If you look on the inside, it's all in English. But so yeah, that is a thing you could look at if you really wanted to. Our stuff is not public at the moment, anyway. So there are some people I give access to, like I gave Daniela access, and then he wrote the thing, and that's probably not going to happen very often. but yeah, that's
So the question is Danielle's stats, are they correct? And I think
there were
correct,
a lot of caveats.
Yeah, correct is always a very tricky word in that sense. They are honest.
Yeah, and there are caveats, because there I think the two of us, and maybe Daniela now, are the only people who fully understand the caveats. Like, for example, we don't always break up videos into all of their constituent clips. So if you want to count, you have to go through each video and count all the clips, because we didn't we don't always break them apart. And even when we break them apart, we don't break all of them apart. Then another problem is that clips are often reused. Yikes. Another problem is that we don't get every video. We don't follow every channel. Even if we follow a channel, we don't always get the video. Like sometimes we just miss some. There's lots of caveats.
Yeah. I think maybe so people understand a bit. I think each day has a minimum of around 200 lines of entries. So that means it's not necessarily 200 videos which we watch and try to locate, but it's 200 lines which we track, individually. So 200 events in a certain amount of videos, which is probably around 150 or something like that. That's around the average, I would say. There are sometimes days where you have, I don't know, like 300 or 400 lines that can happen. And if you have one of those days, knowing that it's basically just the two of us trying to locate that stuff, if there is a video of a tank exploding, it's going to be more important to know where that tank exploded than noting down that it was 2 FPV drones hitting that tank.
Yeah.
So you just don't always have the time to track each individual FPV drone. So that's a huge caveat.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of caveats. So that's just something to keep in mind. What is super interesting to me is that if you take the Lost Armor stats and you compare it to our stats show almost the same thing if you divide every number by 2. So it's actually kind of amusing. Like all you gotta do is just divide by 2. It's kind of like he double counted. I'm not saying he did. It's just really weird that our stats match up so closely if you just divide by 2. Or maybe we just missed exactly half of everything. I don't know. We have another question. Is why don't they use timed fuses more? And the reason is because they're really bad at it. When you see, like, Russians use timed fuses every once in a while, and when they do, it's a joke. It's a joke. Their timed fuses are so bad. They and like sometime like we've seen grads use timed fuses. Like I think that's kind of the most common. And the grad shooting a timed fuse is like half of the shells blow up like way too high in the air. The other half don't blow up until they hit the ground. And then like maybe like 2% blow up at the right altitude and the rest are just randomly and dispersed somewhere in between. So it's just using the time fuses is really difficult. They're really bad at it. And I think those fuses are also pretty expensive relative to the normal fuse, and they're just not as common. The more advanced fuses, that require, more expensive technology, are just not very common. So they do use timed fuses. It's just everyone's so bad at it because it's just really difficult to use them. But the Russians do use them every once in a while. They're just ridiculously awful at it. The proximity fuses are just really rare. I don't even know if either side has that many of them. They're expensive. I think the price is why they're rare.
Well, you sometimes see it with the mines. I think some German mines have the proximity fuse, don't they? Like those remote mines, even.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're just talking about normal shells, though. Like putting a proximity fuse on just a HE shell. Yeah, Lost Armor has been going for a long time. Sure. He used to show Russian losses as well, I believe, but he stopped at some point.
There are no Russian losses anymore.
Yeah, Russia has not had any losses in at least like 7 years. Great.
I really wonder what was on the mind of people deciding at the beginning of the war to track losses. Like, did they all think that it might be 3, 4, 5 days or something like that?
I don't know. I guess there's like counting. They're like counting is their main hobby. I guess is just, they're like going up to things saying 1, going to another one saying 2.
Yeah. I mean, I recently I had reached a very low. You get up in the morning, you have to do some real work, and you also look at Telegram, you see the numbers going up, and you realize every day it's the same for so long. It's just always the same. You do the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's
And
like
it just-
it's perpetual Groundhog Day. Man,
Yeah.
I felt so good today because when I woke up, I only had 600 unread messages. And I was like, oh God, yes. Put it in my veins. Only 600. This is great. A normal day, I wake up with like 3,000. Where will the new German gun be used? I have no idea. I don't know.
Oh, can I say something about that?
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure one of them has been used in Kiev for a rather long time. I'm probably gonna expose myself here now, and people are gonna claim I'm talking nonsense. But I have seen videos of the air defense over Kiev from a friend, and I'm like almost sure those were ahead rounds. So those rounds which airburst and are particularly to defend against drones. I'm very sure that the sound of of the gun shooting and the rounds exploding, it matched so well. We also had the Rheinmetall CEO stating, I think a couple of months ago, that Skynex was actually in Ukraine. It was not part of any sort of German federal delivery, so it wasn't on that list. But the CEO said that it was in Ukraine.
Well,
So this might actually be the second Skynex system which they actually have received.
I will say one thing, because I have talked to the German aid in Ukraine guy about this, and I think if I remember right, he said that the ammo for the Gepard was delivered, and that is what everyone meant when they said it, that the Skynet, that's what it's called, right? Skynet, whatever it's called. That's what they meant when they were talking about that. That it was the ammo for the Gepard.
So back then, the CEO, when he said that Skynex was in Ukraine, he meant, or it was misinterpreted.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
it was
Okay. I'm not sure, but
don't they what's the do they use the same gun or a similar gun?
no, it's different rounds. I think one is 35 and Skynex is 1 second. Let me check.
Hold on.
I'm not gonna embarrass myself again.
I thought they were both 35.
Let me check. Oh, it might actually be, because I remember there were thoughts about upgrading the Gepard to actually be able to shoot the ahead rounds. So it might actually be that it's 35. Oh, great. It's not on their website. So let's do the classical and go on Wiki. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It looks like it's 35. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's what they were talking about. I think they delivered the better ammo
Okay. Well, doesn't change the opinion I had that was Skynex shooting. So, and I'm just gonna stick to that.
Okay.
And it's gonna be harder for people to prove me wrong because, I hope that no one publishes air defense videos. You can't prove what you can't see.
And by the way, if any of you have an idea for an air defense icon, I have no idea how to make an air defense icon. Like, I don't know how to, because like the goal is that if like a random person who has never looked at the map before looks at the icon, they're like, oh, that's air defense. That's the goal. And I don't know how to do that in a little 56 pixel circle.
I was gonna say you could use an archer, but then you're gonna have Erland and every Swedish person as well, and Norwegian person. You're gonna have them in all over the map just looking at the archers and then being disappointed.
I have considered using a spider's web. But I'm not. I don't know. I think a spider web is kind of a universal thing. Like, I don't think it needs to be described, but I don't know if that translates to air defense. But I don't know. Like, I think if maybe in the context of a map, you would think of it that way. I don't know. That's kind of my best guess so far as a spider's web.
Well, there were some great responses to your tweet as well, so maybe someone actually delivered an icon already by now.
Maybe. A lot of those were way too big and fancy, though.
Can you just like make your own icons?
Yeah, I can make my own. I don't know how to convey the concept of air defense in a 56 pixel circle. Yeah, because we made the Shahed. We made the drone, little droney poo. These are like little custom icons. There's another icon for here I can show you here. There's we have this one is the cruise missile. The cruise missile icon.
Is it a sword?
No, it's just a cruise missile.
It looks like a sword.
Oh,
The knights are coming.
I guess you could call it if you want to. Yeah. So, what other icons do we got? I can't remember. I've been making some of these like kind of golden icons for special events that I want people to click on. Basically, I want people to say, "Oh, what's that gold thing?" and click on it. So I've been kind of playing around with icons. I played around with this idea of making the yellow outline be the geolocated and the white outline be the not geolocated to differentiate them. But it might be too subtle. I might have to make the maybe the yellow more yellow, more bigger.
I'm just going to point out that you just placed that cruise missile right over the rail track outside of Udachne, which might be in use towards Pokrovsk. And if a missile hits there now, people can blame you.
I'm sure that's how that works.
I'm worried it works like that sometimes.
Oh, speaking of which, I found this interesting. I did want to kind of talk about this. The other day, there was this completely ambiguous report from Snirivka. I didn't know how to understand this. So it came from the mayor of the town. He said, "There's an explosion. I asked the residents to move away from the windows and stay in a safe place until the alarm goes off and observe the rule of two walls. We're currently verifying information about possible damages and casualties. There's a big request. Do not take photos and put them on the internet. So that's what he said. And then the following morning, our friend Vitaly Kim said, in the evening yesterday, the enemy launched a rocket attack on Snihurivka. Outside of the population center, there were no casualties. I am almost certain they were talking about this Korean missile strike.
Well, we don't know for sure that it's Korean missile.
I think it's been confirmed.
For that one, I only heard about parts of it found in Kharkiv.
Whatever. This missile strike, I'm almost certain they were referring to this one in these comments. Things of note: there was no air raid alert. Nobody knew the missile was happening. It just showed up and exploded, which is worrying.
It is, yeah.
Especially, I mean, if the missile came from like over here, there would be a very like it would be like impossible to warn. You know, it'd be like what, like a minute or something, if that, to warn. But if this missile actually did come from over here, like in Belgrade somewhere, you would think there would at least be some warning. Like even if it's a 90-second warning. Yeah, just weird.
Do you want to show the church they were targeting?
Yeah, sure. I'll show this church. Because they what video is this?
The one in Smivka. It's in the spreadsheet. It says church.
Okay.
I think I added church for you to find it. Yeah.
Yes. So this happened in Zimivka.
I mean, just because some people still doubt that it happens, and that I don't know.
Yeah. So yesterday, the various branches of the Ukrainian government all agreed in saying that there were 8 airstrikes on this town yesterday. I believe it was yesterday, or was it? Yes. Was it yesterday? Maybe it was a few days ago. Can't remember. Anyway, there were a whole bunch of airstrikes. I believe there are eight airstrikes in Zimivka, and this shows 3 of them. Apparently, that's funny.
We're not seeing it in case you're showing it.
Oh yes. Forgot. Now what's funny is that there are no airplanes that drop 3 bombs, are there? So either there's one bomb that was off of the screen and we didn't see it, or there was a dud. No, there's no plane that drops 3 bombs. They either drop 2 or 4.
Yeah, or maybe it landed somewhere in Cherson in the occupied parts again.
Maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, you see the church. I can't imagine what could have been the target, obviously, other than lobbing something in the general direction. Oh, sorry, my cat is throwing things from my desk.
I forgive your cat. Yeah, that's Zimivka. What else is there to say? There was this strike in Belgorod. What did you think of the strike in Belgorod?
Oh, very dangerous topic for a public conversation on YouTube. But I
So
think
I
I
I don't think I perfectly geolocated this, but it is here-ish. Yeah, it's in the parking lot of one of these buildings. I'm not 100% sure which building it was, but I do think it's this building.
yeah.
So this is where it happened in Belgrade yesterday, last night.
So I think in general, bringing the war back home is a good idea. Obviously, what we see in Belgorod is also civilian casualties, and I'm not going to say that those are target or whatsoever. I'm also going to say that we have seen evidence that several Russian air defense missiles actually, penetrated residential buildings and landed in there. So that happens. We can't fully account for who's responsible for what, what explosion in Belgorod. But we can assume that Ukraine potentially misfires into Belgorod as well sometimes. And what Ukraine is using, it's the Vilka. At least there are parts of Vilkas found in Belgorod. I'm not going to say that that's the most precise weapon. I don't know, but I fully understand why it's happening. I think it's important that the war comes back home to Russia. That they realize every time they perform one of their mass strikes on Ukraine that they are vulnerable too. It just it's awful that it has to happen. I think that's what's best to say. It's awful that it has to happen, but in my opinion, it really needs to happen for the Russian public to understand what they got into.
Yeah, and when you compare it to the damages being done in Kharkiv and Kyiv and Kherson, which we barely ever talk about Kherson, but Kherson gets shelled every single day. Kherson gets shelled every day. Kharkiv has been getting hit constantly by various types of missiles, mostly S-300s. Kyiv got hit a whole bunch as well. And some other cities around here, Kryvyi Rih has been getting hit on multiple times a day, basically. Dnipro gets attacked. I don't know how often it gets hit, but it gets attacked all the time. What's it called? Mirhorod. They get attacked quite often. So Ukrainian cities are getting attacked constantly.
Yeah,
And,
I think there's no question who's ultimately responsible for any casualty inside Russia. I don't think there can be any question about that. I mean, Russia brought that on themselves, and it's just sad that it has to happen. Otherwise they don't understand what's going on. And I think that it's also important that it happens as it happened lately. That every time Russia launched one of those attacks, they immediately get the return favor. I think that's important too.
Yeah.
And there was a question about the I can't pronounce that name, but Novorossiysk port,
Yeah.
with that air defense there. I think interestingly that location of the air defense is, it's geolocated, so that's big ups to the Russians posting that. But I had questions with regards to that because the air defense rocket is going very far up, and the only thing that Ukraine, in my opinion, would be launching at that area would be drones. So I can't imagine a drone being that high up there.
I don't know if that is necessarily right, because I believe these are top attack missiles. So what's it called? I forget. They have such stupid names for this stuff. It's like
I see.
the rule of engagement or whatever nerd language they use. The missile goes like really high in the air and then falls like straight down on the target.
Yeah, I forgot. That's a very valid point. Yeah, I completely didn't think about that.
Can't remember the nerd word for that. I know it has the word law in it.
Where's John when you need him? He's probably gonna pop in just that moment.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember the word. I know it has the word law in it because that's what like really tickles me because it's so nerdy to call it a law. Anyways, that's I think we've talked about many things for 2 hours. I think we're done. I'm done. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed our rambling for 2 hours, everybody. Come back next time. I don't know. What do you want to say, Gick? What's your closing words?
um, yeah, it's gonna get better from here. I guess that's my closing word.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it will. Yeah, I mean, if you heard what the Italians said yesterday, there will be parody. I don't know what parody means, but maybe it's a good thing, you know? Parody.
Yeah, and for the time being, keep donating, keep supporting. You know.
Yes. Buying drones. Right. So goodbye everybody.
Take care. Bye bye.